everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be talking about books where you should trust the hype. So I didn't really know what to title this video, so basically what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to be talking about books that are super hyped up that I actually really loved. Like, I think that hype is for good reason. Now the thing is, when books get really hyped, there's a lot of differing opinions that come out about them because so many people are reading them that a lot of people really love it, and then a lot of people will think that it's really overhyped. Now these are just the ones that I think are awesome that I've read that have a ton of hype surrounding them. Now there are a lot of books that I think are overhyped. I've done a video on that in the past. I'll be doing an update at some point. I don't really know when, but I will do an update. But these are just the books. I think they're amazing and I think they do really deserve that hype. Now there are a ton of other books that I could have included on this list, but I kind of limited myself so that I wouldn't go out of control and just pick a bunch of books, because there are a ton that are super hyped up that I think were amazing, but I kind of limited myself to the really popular ones. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So the first book I'm going to be talking about is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I loved this series. I thought it was just amazing. I fell in love with the world of the Raven Boys and all the characters. It was just so vivid. The writing was amazing, and I just can totally understand why people become such hardcore fangirls for this world, because it just lets you get so lost in it. It's so vivid and the imagery is so potent, and those characters feel like you were on a journey with them. Like, they feel like they're real people. It's just crazy, and I love this series for that. So I think it definitely deserves all the love that it gets. Next is the Selection series by Kiera Cass. Yes, I love this series. It is like my guilty pleasure. I feel like if I reread it, I maybe wouldn't enjoy it so much, but it just, like, I hated a ton of things about it. Like, all of these books, just because I say believe the hype does not mean that they're perfect by any means. Like, there are a ton of things about this series that I did not like, but it was just so fluffy and easy and enjoyable, and I totally understand why people go crazy for it. Like, Prince Maxon is literally everything I want. Like, he is just the ultimate book boyfriend. Oh my god, I love him. So I love this series so much. Next is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. The writing of this takes a lot of getting used to, and I think that's a lot of the reason why people tend to shy away from this series. It has very interesting writing style, but it's used in a very clever way as the series goes on. I think it's so fascinating, and it's just so cool. Once again, really enjoyable. Not perfect by any means, but they're just great reads. I found them to be very original as far as dystopian goes, and it was just really cool. Next is Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. I just think this is like the ultimate in fluffy, mindless reading. This is like the perfect book to be reading during exams, when you want to read something so you can kind of escape from the hell that is exams. This is the book that you should turn to because it's so easy. You don't really need to think. It's just something that you can read. It's fast, it's quick, but it's really enjoyable and kind of that heartwarming story, which I love. Next up is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak, of course. This book has a ton of hype, and I honestly don't even care if you think it's overhyped, because that means, like, as long as you've read it, because I think that even if you read it and you don't like it, it's a book that you can get something from, no matter what you feel about it. I just love this story so much. It is like so near and dear to my heart. It is my favorite for very good reason. It's just an incredible read that I think everyone should read. So I do think it definitely, like, if one on this list fits, like, is number one, it would be this one. It definitely deserves all the love that it gets. Next up is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. This is just such an interesting story. It's so inventive and unique, and that's something that's kind of hard to find in YA a lot of the times. There are not that many books that have such an out there concept, and this one is just so out there. Like, all of these peculiar children with their different peculiarities and kind of powers. It's so weird and creepy, and it's just so cool. Next up are two books by the same author, and that is Looking for Alaska and The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. John Green as an author, I think a lot of people feel is overhyped, but I really enjoy him. I like all the stuff that he writes. I've like enjoyed all of it, and he had a huge part in introducing me to reading and to YA specifically, and the reason that I love it. So I just think these books are great. They introduce a lot of people to YA, which I think is awesome, and they really open YA to different age groups who wouldn't normally try it, but then they hear about these books and they give it a go, and then they like YA. I think it's awesome, and these books are just my two favorites by him. The writing's incredible. They're definitely two of his most popular, I would say, and I really like him. Next up is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This is probably one of the most hyped books on this list. Probably next to The Fault in Our Stars and The Book Thief, this would be the most hyped, I believe, but it gets all the hype because it's so crazy. Like, it is so crazy and out there and just mind-blowing, and the writing is really great. I loved the writing of it. It was very suspenseful. Like, I haven't read it in a really long time, actually, like not since I was in high school, so I do kind of want to reread it soon and see if I feel the same about it, but as I stand now, I really loved this story. It was just, I mean, I loved it in like the worst way possible because it's heartbreaking and just crazy and mind-blowing, but just so like earth-shattering. It was just crazy. Next up is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I think that this book deserves more of the hype than Eleanor and Park, to be honest. Eleanor and Park I liked, but I didn't like it nearly as much as I liked this one. I think this is her best book that she's written that I've read so far, and it was just an awesome story that I think a lot of people would be able to relate to. A lot of fangirls, obviously. Anyone who's really passionate about anything really would relate to this book, and I just thought it was an amazing story, and it does deserve the love it gets. Next up are another two books by the same author, which I'm sure you guys knew was going to be on here, and that is Throne of Glass and A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. Sarah J Maas is one of the biggest names in YA right now, and as such, she has a lot of hate, but also a ton of love. There really is a reason why people love her so much, and it's because she creates these characters that are so vivid, this world that is so intricately woven, and it just allows you to completely escape from reality and get lost in her universe, and it is awesome, and I seriously can't wait to read the third book of this series, which will be out by the time this video is out, but I won't be reading it yet because I'm going to be in Europe, so please no spoilers, but I will be reading it as soon as I get back. Next up is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I thought this book was so cool. Like, I just love the whole creepy carnival mystery thing that we have going on. I love the sister relationship that's explored. I think it's just an amazing story, and I can't wait to read the sequel. I think it's going to be awesome, and I just really loved it. And finally is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I think that Six of Crows is crazy. Even compared to the Grisha trilogy, I feel like the Grisha trilogy would be here and Six of Crows is like here. I love the Grisha trilogy, but Six of Crows, specifically Crooked Kingdom, just blew my mind. I just fell in love with the world again. I fell in love with the characters, and I felt like they were so real. They just became like my friends, and I loved them so much. So I totally understand why people love Leigh Bardugo so much, and it's really because she has such an amazing world and such amazing characters, not unlike Maggie Stiefvater or Sarah J Maas. They just create these characters and these worlds that you can't help but get lost in and fall in love with, really. So those are all of the books that I think that you guys should be trusting the hype for. Like I said, a lot of you guys probably were watching this whole video and you're like, I think all of these books are overhyped, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I totally understand why. I mean, sometimes I read books that are super hyped up and I don't really like them. Like, for example, I'm not the hugest fan of the Mortal Instruments series, and release the fangirls who are gonna kill me. It's not my favorite, and I don't hate it, but like, you know, people have differing opinions. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what books you think are super hyped up and you totally agree with them getting all the love that they get. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.